back
now
as
request.
Right,
conservation easement.
that's what happened, but
That's zoned.
Hopefully it stays on.
There's no reason to be zoned multifamily. That backside can't be developed because it's wetland. The
Right.
front side's already developed with single family. So we would just take that and put it into, the R100 zone. Because that actually, they're even larger than 100,000 square feet.
There is an interest of, we've spoken about it a few times on, across from Brother Plaza. There's that Victorian house that this woman wants to put units. Donna knows more about it than,
That might be
On
the
North-
7 acre unless
The
it's
one
a
that's
small
on North
parcel.
Street?
yes.
last
it-
house
just
yeah,
talking
she wants-
cemetery.
it's where the
That's-
cemetery is.
I
and-
think that's the 7 acre.
Yeah, she wants to build like 3
It's next to that house.
residential.
Next to that.
You're talking about on North
Victoria,
Street?
right.
Okay.
And are we making decisions or?
Yeah.
So what you're doing right now,
Make a
if,
recommendation.
are we talking about North Street right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
So
That's
right
the
now,
same.
that's actually zoned for, multi-dwelling, right? So absolutely,
Right.
Right,
what,
so we're
what,
looking at that as well, to rezone
Yes.
it, that might
If
be
you think it's
the correct
appropriate.
word or
right,
whatever.
and if we want it to remain multi-dwelling, then we need some really clear language in there about what,
The definition of
well,
Right, are
like
you?
multi-dwelling in
Two-family.
five.
where Brookshire is one thing, but multi-dwelling on North Street spilling out onto Tolman Road, do we want to see apartment buildings going up there? We need a
Well,
clear definition
it's-
on what's acceptable.
It's also, is the intent that especially when you get closer into the village and the more historic, because those
Right,
are the historic
right.
areas.
Yeah.
Is it that they get to put apartments in there because you want them to keep the building? So they get to put another apartment in, kind of to adaptively reuse it? Or is allowing multifamily going to encourage a knockdown? Because they can put more units on the site. So it goes beyond just, it's about what's there now, what do you wanna keep in terms of the community character? And then, do you need multifamily there? Is there a better place for it? Or even, you have a fair amount of multifamily in the village, so do you need it there? Or
I
if
mean,
you
as
allow
harsh as it
it,
sounds, can you
Well,
deny them from
that's a large
building in?
structure, Stephen,
Yeah.
right? So
That's
All
why.
right, okay.
They
I'm
decided-
just looking at the legality of somebody saying, well, you can't build on the land.
it's part of, no, you can
Yeah.
build, but they're not guaranteed whatever maximum they want. It's all within the context of, or the maximum that they want is the operative word.
Right,
You're gonna base it on what the community character is, what's appropriate there, considering what the road it's on, considering the building and the character of that area, considering parking, and, again, there are many ways to implement multifamily. And it doesn't have to be all multifamily and you have a big building. You could say you're allowed a 3-family, but we want 3-family buildings, not one monster 16-unit building.
right.
That's, because we don't want a whole bunch of properties cobbled together with tear downs and put a big building up. Or if you do, then it has to be a particular character. So those are all the things, but first we have to get to what's important to preserve in the village and keep. If you like particular houses and the intent is to keep them and they wanna do multifamily, maybe they put an addition off the back of the structure so that it looks still like a Victorian in the front, but in the back, maybe have a couple of extra units that's sympathetic to the overall design. So it's, again, protecting what you like about Washingtonville. If you believe that you need more housing opportunities, encouraging it and allowing it in the right places and the right design. Maybe you want apartments over stores and not just multifamily. Maybe at this point you feel we have enough multifamily, but along Main Street, some of these buildings could be reused to have apartments above and retail on the bottom. That's another option. It's also multifamily. But then we have to think about the density, how many units. That's part of the reason why you look at the infrastructure and utilities and the water and the wastewater, what's the capacities? Which frankly, you have capacity, so it's not gonna be an issue. But this is sort of the first step in getting there and finding out what
Yeah.
people want. And you'll actually see one of the little exercises will kind of speak to this idea of housing. but it does it from a visual perspective, so these are the visions, and everybody can check one off, if they, you know, you'll be handed out dots, you'll be handed out, you know, Post-its, whatever, to indicate your support for one of these, or you don't, or the group doesn't have to. And then at that same station, you're going to have a list of, here's some words that the committee had indicated was part of the vision and the character of Washingtonville. So words you used was quaint, protect, maintain, respect, growth, historic, preservation, character, environment, unique. If you don't think one of these are appropriate, or if you want something other than that, we just wanted to start out with like 10 words. But then there are various lines that people can come in, they can write another word that they think might be appropriate, and people can put dots if they support that word. So it's this interactive workstations that we want people to get involved and to communicate their preferences. So this is station 2 on visioning.
Do you think when you advertise, do you advertise that it's interactive, or do you think that that scares people off?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would hope, I hope they'd want to, because they might find it boring to sit and listen to something versus being involved. I'll tell you, importantly, there always needs to be refreshments.
We can do that. We could also say hands-on if you think that,
Yeah, hands-on,
rather than interactive,
yeah,
hands-on.
but and I will even tell you that we've had some communities that do a little prize. And so if you show up for the meeting, you put, you know, a little raffle in, and you win a, you know, fire stick.
Oh.
Or
You
money.
won the local,
Or a
can do
fire
a-
stick, or right.
restaurant.
Or a restaurant, you know, dinner for 2, you know.
$150 off your water bill?
I got Patrick back there from Guilty Pleasures.
So,
I'll hit him up.
so definitely, you know, if you think you're gonna win something, that often will
Oh, yeah.
bring people out. Definitely refreshments.
Oh, I like my idea. I think you should go with that.
What?
You get $100 off their water bill.
I can't.
I don't know if that's legal. But maybe you get $100, you know, just $100, and you can use it towards your water bill. So all those things are important to bringing out people. You know, sometimes it's not even about the content, it's about the environment that you're creating.
So we're gonna break up tables, is that what we're gonna do? As
It'll be
workstations, so to speak?
workstations, yeah, it'll be around the room,
Right,
and there'll be 6 of these stations,
right.
and we will have boards up. So these are the small scale version, we're gonna
Right.
have large poster
Right.
boards.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll,
And obviously, these people can bounce around to
absolutely,
whatever they want.
and they'll have instructions,
Right.
and then we will be, you know, manning, you know, we're either gonna have like 3 to 4 people up here from our firm, and then we'll be manning each of the stations to explain what the intent is, and also just to, people will come
Yeah,
in.
that was my next
And they'll
question,
wanna
if
talk,
they ask
they'll
us
wanna talk
questions
about
about,
lots of
I
things,
mean, we have all these maps and, you know, people come up with questions, I mean, you
yeah.
obviously answer them, I
Yeah.
guess, or whatever.
And we, you know, want the village board to be there. I will tell you that in the town of Shawville, when we did that, all of the town board members were there. They happened to have it on a Saturday. That's when they decided was opportune for them, based on their own scheduling. And the residents, a lot of them showed up. But
Bonnie, what's a lot about?
well, for up there, and it's fairly rural, they had 140.
Ooh.
So, but they appreciated the board members being there, because sometimes it's not about talking about this, it's just talking to your board members. And then we would hear from the board members, they'd say, you know, someone mentioned to us, this is an issue. And they went direct to the board members, you know, they didn't wanna talk about it at the workstation, but that interaction people really appreciate. If there isn't a good turnout, we can always consider another date or time period. I think we talked about, though, here in this village, with the schools and with activities, and I know this is true of some other places, Saturdays with kids, it can be difficult to draw people out.
We also get charged,
You also get to be here?
no, at the schools. Were you making a reference to do it at the school?
No, I meant doing it on a Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here, because oftentimes there are school activities going on, there's sports, there's events going on. And just people are doing things with their kids on the weekends. So it's really dependent on the community and when you think that you would get people out. But right now, I think the easiest is to do it when we all normally meet. Like we can kind of schedule that and they can set aside as a time frame, and we can go from there. And there's other opportunities and ways to get input. So we'll shoot for February. Obviously, if there's a weather problem, there's a weather problem. We would have to reschedule, but you know that's the intent.
Your regular meeting time?
Regular meeting time, 6:30 to 8:30, 6:30 to 9:30. You know, depending on how many.
And we don't even
people
have to put an end time, we can just say 6:30?
Yeah, 6:30, and when people are ready to filter out, they do. So the next workstation is strengths and opportunities. So this is sort of the positive board, and just as we've been getting at the surveys and as we've been doing here among ourselves, you know, talk about what are the strengths of the village and what are the opportunities, what can we explore, what can we bring into the community, what are the untapped resources here that are not being used, where you could really benefit from, again, using that as an opportunity. So that's a pretty straightforward one. And then station 4 is the opposite of that, it's the weaknesses and threats. So, you know, what are the concerns, what are the threats that confront the village, and, you know, what could be improved? And, you know, people will fill these out equally. We certainly hope to put a lot more strengths and opportunities and weaknesses and threats. So then, this one, 5 and 6 are interesting, and we can change out the images, but there's a process in planning called visual preference surveys. And what you do is you show various images to the community, and you will state as part of the exercise, do you like the image and do you think it's appropriate for Washingtonville? So it's not, you know, you might like the image, you might think it's a nice looking development or a style, but you may not think the density or what you're perceiving is appropriate for Washingtonville. And the reason we show these things in the images is because sometimes when you say, well, what do you think about 4 houses to the acre? Or what do you think about 16 units to the acre? People might react and be like, oh God, no, not 16. But if you see a building that essentially is 16 units to the acre, they may say, oh, well, that's not so bad. The other thing you perceive through these images is you'll see there's obviously a mix of housing, so there's small lot, single family, big lot, single family. You have a 3-family, you have something that looks like a single family, but it's a 3-family. You have the mixed use, the stores and the apartments above. You have the townhouses. And then you have the multifamily. And the multifamilies are 3 stories. You know, we could put a 4-story image in there. Oftentimes, especially in these kind of areas, you know, they put dots there, you won't get many dots. Because we kind of already know that's not gonna fly, you know, in the community. But they'll choose which ones they like, and then you could say, all right, well, you know, there aren't many townhouses, and if you're going to have some form of a different type of housing, it may not have to be multifamily. Maybe people will be okay with townhouses because they like the design that they're seeing. So I think, you know, take a look at these images. If you think there's something in there that you're like, no, that's gonna be too confusing, or this absolutely just doesn't fit, we would never get it anyway. You know, you can react to that image, so that's the residential. The 6 are the commercial preferences. And these are different images from different places, you know, in and around, primarily Westchester, northern New Jersey, but again, it's sort of that range of different types of things that you can see. So the first is adaptive reuse of residential for commercial, which you do have. You know, and are there additional locations where you have housing that instead of more housing or apartments, instead say, hey, why don't we convert it to commercial instead? Then you have kind of the single-story commercial, you know, typical, that happens to be Ramsey, New Jersey. And so it's that, the other thing you're seeing here is also the parking at the curb, you're seeing a wide sidewalk. You know, there's things in that image of why also people might like it. The third image, mixed story commercial, service, retail, residential above, that's brand new, that's in Westchester. So that's not existing, or that wasn't pre-existing, it's newer than typical, older developments and row style housing. The next one is very, very typical Main Street, but not row house per se, these are individual buildings. You know, and you have that in some places where, you know, it's interesting, the green building, and this is Katona, if you don't know where it is. The green building, they put a facade in the front, but it was a house, similar to some that are down the block, that still have their, Dutch kind of gambrel roof. And, you know, one has arcade, one has, you know, an overhang. You know, is this the kind of Main Street that you want? The one-story commercial green space in the front, that's in a more rural community, but it has a nice big lawn area in the front. It's very rural in character, very open. You know, is that appropriate somewhere in the village? Then you have your franchises, and I think this is a good image because, you know, you have franchises here in the village. That one happens to be a drive-through, that's in Hyde Park. And in Hyde Park, they have the National Park Service, they have various tourist-related uses, and they really work hard to have the architecture of franchise businesses fit within what they think is appropriate for the community. So you can see, you don't have the McDonald's arch in yellow, it's in white. You have a roof that is a hipped roof with a gable front. You have the decorative lamppost. You have landscaping in the front. So, you know, would people think that that's okay for Washingtonville? Commercial business with drive-through, that's more your standard fare, parking in the front, but one story, not a flat roof. That is a bank. And next, strip commercial. You know, are you okay with strip commercial? You have a shopping center now, right? You have the Stop and Shop, and the plaza there. So is it okay, and would it be even okay to have more of it somewhere, if someone wanted to come in and develop property? And again, we have to think of some of the bigger properties and infill properties. The next one is a restaurant with outdoor seating. Then we get into a few what I'll call light industrial, heavy commercial complexes. The one that you see at the bottom of the second row, that's in Mahwah, and it's kind of by MacArthur Boulevard area, if you know that area. That's actually on 17. And what is a series of smaller spaces. You can see there's landscaping in the front, and in the back side are trucks, and loading bays. But the way this has been designed is you can't really get more than 2 or 3 loading bays per tenant. So this isn't a massive warehouse. This is a space for businesses that have a need for loading, but this is done in a you know, business tenant mall type arrangement. The next one up at the top, row 3, one-story strip commercial shared parking lot, that's standard fare, brick, you know, park, front of the building type development. The office complex, that's actually another one in Ramsey, by where Uncle Giuseppe is on 17, if you know that area again. Yeah, and this is just throwing out, there are different ways to put offices. These are like little condo office, they look like townhouse complexes, individual buildings, a lot of landscaping back in there. But it is an office complex. And the units are smaller, it doesn't have to be a mega building. And then the bottom one is your more standard commercial, two-story office building. We didn't put three-story in, I don't know if you want that, we could add that, but I think you could let us know about whether you think there should be some other designs, some other uses that we should show pictures of. If you think you'd wanna know, is it appropriate, would you want it here? So,
You know, the uses are fine, I mean, I look at a lot of these things, they're really interesting, especially the restaurant with outdoor seating. Our problem here is parking,
it's a big question.
it's parking. I mean, you know, a lot of these are not, I mean, even the McDonald's, I mean, you know, a lot of these are nice, I mean, this is nice to have, where you know, your stores, you park in front, we don't have that, there's just,
And there's no room to expand the sidewalks.
there's no way, there's no way to.
Well, so remember, we have a very large parcel coming into the village that can accommodate new development.
Right,
And so the question is, if you want that type of use, you know, is there a place to put it? Yes, if you want that type of use. But if you really want that land to be developed for economic development, for a business park, or something like that, you know, those are the things we need to kind of get
yeah,
out.
I just
of
think
people.
about the town itself and these things, I'm like, where do you put it?
Yeah,
You know, the space, the parking,
yeah,
I mean, we've got a lot of vacancies now in Woolley, in the two, you know, Washington Pharmacy, he's now on 94, he moved out of that little strip mall, so to
yeah.
speak, you know? And then across you have
are you talking about the one by Clove Road?
no, right here by,
You're talking about right here in
by
the
208 in the
Where
village, yeah.
Hennessy's is.
It's like a
Oh,
little
like
tiny
Corner
strip
candle
with
store,
the
that
teeny fuel,
Yeah,
you know, they're half empty, and then across the street, that's great property there, but that guy owns, you know, the auto body, and then, I guess it's like a car repair shop.
Where Ralph's is.
Yeah, he's been there for, yeah,
Ralph's.
Ralph's, you know, I mean, that's a lot of nice property, but, you know, they all fall in flood zones too, then.
well,
Isn't one of those big buildings on South Street for sale too, right? Across from that? If I'm not mistaken, across from like Hennessy, right on the other side, one of those big buildings is for sale.
By Ralph's, you mean?
Yeah.
Ralph's Garage?
Mhm. Look it up.
He's got the veterinarian there, that's on the left side, veterinarian's office.
No, it's closer to, well,
we'd have to look at ownerships.
Yeah.
So part of the question
And then there's
is,
this thing, well, what
Are
about
things- are
Heritage
things-
Trails, and that's gonna go right,
Yeah, that's gonna go behind where Hennessy's is.
and there's even this big building right back here that's commercial. Right past this village
Yeah,
hall,
right back here.
white building.
so, I mean, commercial uses are supported by residences. So you have to have residences to support retail, you have to have residents to support commercial use. If these things are no longer supported, what is happening with residents?
yeah.
And do you want more residents to support a downtown? The other thing you always have to be careful of is if you start to allow retail farther and farther up and down the strip, you're diluting and taking away from the downtown. So if you're really trying to create an activated downtown, the more you let it happen on 208 or farther out on 94, you're taking away from that. It's better to figure out a way to put in parking and other amenities that people will go to stay in the downtown. So for instance, in Monroe, we have our little downtown, but 17M is loaded with retail and commercial uses. Now, once upon a time, they could have limited to things like automotive and things that you don't want in the downtown. And that would have probably been more conducive to keeping an activated life in Main Street.
Yeah.
18 South Street.
That's only by
18.
Ralph's.
So I'm sure,
That may not still be available, I can check that.
so there are implications for what you allow in different places, you know. Maybe you want an area, if you don't want housing, just simply for commercial uses, not retail, but landscapers, contractors, a place where they can go where they're not impacting the downtown environment, if you think there's demand for that. So, these are things to query the public about, and I think at these two stations, you can, part of our role is to say, are there uses, do you envision things when you think about these buildings? What can you envision happening on a parcel, on large parcels, on smaller parcels, infill? What do you think we should have here? So part of the conversation today is just, are these appropriate? There's other workstations instead of these we could set up. One could be, what uses do you wanna see in the village? Or we can combine that with the visual preference survey. We could add another board that says, what uses do you wanna see in Washingtonville? What's not here, what do you need? And that might be,
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
You'll probably get a lot of, for the young ones, the kids, lack of things for the children to do. I mean, they're gonna bring up a negative and might as well have it so that we come up with an answer.
yeah.
Bonnie,
Yes.
is there some way you can work, we have a situation over at the Woodfield. Right now, it was a skate park,
Mhm.
and there's been talk about, we had to rip the equipment out because it was paved. We're putting in pickleball courts where the old hockey rink was, but now there's talk about what should go back to what was the skate park.
Mhm.
Should they be basketball?
Pickleball.
Well, we're doing pickleball.
We're doing that already.
Pickleball is gonna be on the other end of Ahern, where the old hockey rink was, so that we are doing. But I'm wondering if this is something that maybe we can work into one of the workshops, or
Into the
again,
workshop or into the public workshop?
the public.
Okay, this work,
Like-
the one coming up.
Well, yeah, because this is about residents and their
Yeah.
input and what they wanna see, and we're kinda on the fence, liability is a
Yeah.
lot less with basketball, but then they're saying, there's other things that, other interests, and I know there was a group that loved that skate park.
So what we can do is we can just have a board, and we can do kind of a blow-up of the park and ask what recreation uses would you like to see here?
That would be great. Also, it's really geared towards, we have plenty of playgrounds. That's really more geared towards middle school, high school students. So I'm wondering if,
Multi-use area.
we can get into the high school like we did with the survey and maybe see what the high school kids want.
You could do another mini survey where, again, with a QR code or just post it up on the web.
Maybe, I'm wondering if we can get an announcement out at the school for the meeting. Maybe some of the high school seniors want to show up and voice their opinions
So
on,
they have those government classes,
right.
maybe they could get credit for coming to the workshop.
Well, when we did the survey, they were being handed out in their social studies classes because they felt that was relevant.
Yeah.
And it was to seniors only.
So normally we have volunteers help us out, I guess we'll get you flyers, et cetera, and then we'll go out to the group and find out who might be able to work with the school to get these things handed out.
I did it the last time, we
Oh,
had to
you
go, well, yeah, we had to go through, I had to first get permit, I went to the principal first.
Okay,
He couldn't approve it, it had to go to superintendent for approval. Anytime that you're handing out any type of a survey, needs to be approved by the superintendent. It took about a week or so before we got the okay.
so what is going into the park so that we don't include it, and we could say, this is already going
Right
in?
now,
Nothing.
we
I thought you
removed,
just said pickleball.
right now it's just, nope, that's
No.
the pickleball is going on a different park. So Woodfield Park is one park, and then we have the, what was the old hockey, rink.
Which park?
That's on the other end of
On the end of
Ahern.
Burn Allen Park.
Burn
Do you know
Allen.
what that is?
Yes. We have a
It's-
description.
It's the front.
The front
right on
end of Burn?
94, yeah.
So half of that was paved, and that's where the pickleball courts will be going in. The other half remained unpaved. Kids can still ride their bikes on it. I mean, potentially basketball can go there, and then maybe we could still do the skate park where it was. But the equipment got broken when it was removed, so that's why it's not been put back, in case anybody was wondering. It got damaged,
Okay.
so if we're gonna keep it a skate park, we're gonna need new equipment. And that's pricey.
Are there any other uses, recreational activities that people have talked about there?
The only thing that I've been hearing was skate and basketball.
Do seniors want
But we're
anything in
open.
particular?
Sorry?
Do seniors want anything in particular?
That's why I'm
Sometimes seniors
saying
like
I would
bocce
love to
ball,
know,
some
I would
like-
love to know what the high school kids would want. It's
Oh,
really,
she's saying.
I'm
she's
talking
saying
seniors.
You're,
You're
you're
citizens.
You're
Oh.
focused on, you're focused on kids.
Seniors.
Are there seniors or
well,
others?
but for recreation there, so right adjacent to it is a,
You do a Zen garden. You do your
we're,
Tai
but
Chi.
we're doing that. We're doing that over in Sewell. We're supposed to have that all landscaped and with a garden and a,
That's a little far for the senior citizens, though. You know,
Right.
for the
They're not
ones
gonna
that are in
walk there.
Senior housing, they're not gonna go walk into Sewell Park.
they're closer to, the Memorial Park.
Yeah,
Well, but, so, we need to be clear here, are we looking specifically for how to use the Vern Allen Park?
Recreation.
Okay, but we're not opening this up to all parks, or do you wanna open this
No.
up to all parks?
Well,
And just
no,
have a
because we
general
already
question.
have, well, there's half the other park that's still, I guess it's up for something. We only paved half of it, where the pickleball courts are going. So there's still half of that area that's left for something.
Okay.
Right now, we were just kind of leaving it open.
So
Kids
maybe-
ride their bikes on that.
So maybe just leave it open in general, what kind of recreation do you wanna see? We could have a map of all the park locations, not be specific, because it may be better to be in one park versus the other, you may decide to shift things, you know? Maybe some people would want something different at Sewell, I don't know, so maybe it could be accommodated, you know, all those properties that were picked up from the storms down on Cardinal, you know, maybe there's an opportunity to put trails in there,
Well,
so,
Sewell, we're supposed to be putting in, besides these gardens and landscaping, a bandstand. We're looking to get, you know, like the summer, you know how some of the municipalities have the summer concert series?
Mhm.
And we're looking to do that.
Brenda, I think, didn't Tom DeBenko said he was thinking about putting a community garden?
Yes,
like
and the
Papa?
garden.
Well, another thing is actually a garden. So if you go into Montgomery, you go to some communities, they have gardens for vegetables, like a community garden, community, like, farm plot, where people get pieces of it and they can grow whatever, you know, vegetables and crops they wanna do within their plot.
there's one right around here.
Up the street in 94?
No,
That's Park or here?
Let me Grove Church had one.
yes,
behind
yes,
it.
thank you, Jim.
Yeah, they actually were
Do they
gonna
still do
move the one, behind Blooming Grove Church over by the new senior center. And the fellow that had operated it, he had sheds and all kinds of equipment and everything, and it didn't pan out. So I think that's when, Tom DeBenko said, he kinda had a thought that maybe you could go by Cardinal.
So farm type plots there? Cause I think some of those areas are treed still.
Yeah, and flood.
Well, and Woodfield is paved, so that's not the place to put
I mean,
a garden.
It's
It's
okay to
just-
put floodplains, it could flood, but they're also some of the most fertile.
That's
So, but there may be other places, or maybe in the planning of the future, other locations, you're gonna want a community garden. You had cropland, you had agriculture, so maybe a portion of that could be carved out.
It's on the other
It's
side.
on this side, Bonnie.
So I think we just come up with various ideas, let people check them off, and let them then maybe comment on where they'd like to see it. We could show a park map, and then we could have a little board that says, where would you like to see these? So this would be an addition, not in lieu of. Are there any of these that you don't like, or you think have been asked like the strengths and opportunities, weaknesses and threats, you think that's kind of getting old? Or do you really not wanna hear because you kind of know already, so just substitute a recreation component?
Well, we do know what, a lot of what we would hear, I think, but, you know, if we get a different audience at this workshop, then we'll get more
Yeah.
input. Might be the same, but
Yeah,
that'll certainly solidify everybody's thoughts.
so then it doesn't hurt to have one more that we just have there for people to take a look at. Someone will keep an eye on it and ask questions in terms of what you want for recreation.
So that would be a seventh station?
That would be a seventh station, if that's what you'd like, if you think that's appropriate, if you think it's appropriate.
What do you all think?
Yeah,
I agree.
definitely.
Yeah, I think she's right.
I mean, recreation was one of the big things that came up on when we did the survey as well.
Okay.
Something I've been thinking of, only because I volunteer at Bethel, I've been up there for years, and I don't know, somehow to bring something in for the arts. And, you know, art, I mean, they have a tremendous outturn of people that come on certain weekends. You know, there's 2 buildings up there that are enclosed, and people come, artists come to sell their artists, they have leather people, they have guys selling, whatever you want, It's extremely successful. They do charge a slight admission for it, but it's only like $5. But I mean, it's people come, I mean, these artists, and they come from all, I mean, they're Ulster, Sullivan, Orange, Jersey, just to go to Bethel on that weekend, and to go in those buildings, and they bring in.
Bethel, Connecticut or
No,
Bethel?
Bethel Woods.
Oh, Bethel Woods.
They call Woodstock Bethel,
Yeah.
Center for the Arts.
Yeah.
But they expect, they expect large turnouts there, that's why you have those vendors.
Well, because they're well,
Hard business to set up, you
Yeah.
don't have,
But the,
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that's the thing, I mean, it's just, they have a big turnout, because the artists do very well, and they really look forward to it, and the community, the amount of people that go there, I mean, you have to literally limit the amount of people inside, and we have to direct a certain amount of people in and out, and, it's just something that I felt was kind of, it'd be nice to have something more, and, artists or,
Well, it's kind of not entirely the same, but if you go to Woodstock, is a village that, even though it has the name Woodstock, it's not where Woodstock happened.
right,
But that has this artsy vibe to it, and then they have like on, Saturdays when you go up there, people have like drum circles and they have a lot of crunchy granola.
Rosendale is kind of like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Rosendale has a fall festival. And New Paltz.
I actually finished a project description a week and a half ago for, I know the money is a little bit out of the question right now, but there might be different ways to work it out for the corner candle shop. If we could get like 8 tenants, if we could get the county involved in it and have it be, it's a stone's throw from the Stony Brook Rail Trail. Which, by the way, I don't know if you heard today, they added a whole new section between Black Rock and Woodbury. So we're going to go all the way to the Appalachian Trail. So it's all going to be connected now. And so I spoke briefly to tourism department. They were pretty interested in that. It would need one person to oversee the whole thing, to make sure that, one person is sick and doesn't come up with their rental amount for the month.
I know Monroe, Sal Scancerella has been, they, in the downtown, in the village, they have spaces in, it's like a little interior Main Street, and they'll rent them out to little businesses, kind of mom and pop businesses, it's kind of the same concept.
Yeah, it's spectacular, the renovation that they did there. Upstairs is like an old barn with a stage, and so the idea was to have art shows and presentations by politicians, health experts, environmental experts.
Is that corn, now you're talking Corner Candle?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, a cafe downstairs with,
Okay.
a local singer.
Well, the tenant isn't going back?
the
Yeah.
owners ran the store,
Okay.
so they're not going to open the store
Okay.
as the Corner Candle store,
So
they're
they're looking-
renting it
They've
out.
done
Got
it
it.
for 24 years, she
Okay.
says, we're just
Very
coming down. My vision was to put like a carved totem out front that says Scunnamunk Rail Trail this way,
Mhm.
and to have tourism bring groups that could start the trail there.
Mhm. We can get a Greenway grant for it. They should look for a Greenway grant for some of that stuff. So,
You know, back to the arts too, if they put that little bandstand, so to speak, in Sewell Park, that's, you know, that's meant to bring in, like Donna was saying, you know, like the summer concert series that they
Right,
have in the other
yeah.
towns. One thing I would say, they do that in Chester now, I
I
don't
know.
know if
I go
anybody's
to
been there. Tons of
They
people.
redid theirs.
just sugar
More
loaf?
municipalities do that
Chester,
than don't now.
behind, you know, where
In the
Booth's
back.
Oh,
was?
Old Shoot Bowls?
Yeah, Old Chester, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Down that hill, there's big giant
it's a
field
nice,
Yeah.
and
I
a
actually-
stage.
I actually came from Chester, so, before I moved here, so it's nice.
Did they,
They set up like a
huge.
whole
do they have-
downstairs area, like, you know, food,
Fire company
massive
provides
booths.
food.
They even do the alcohol.
I
That's
think
why
they-
for the first time, when we did our 4th of July, it was the first time that we had alcohol vendors. Because, I mean, I go to the Chester Band's summer concert
They
series,
had a lot of people.
and it's really nice. There's no issues, it's not
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
just
great.
very
You can
peaceful
also
and,
apply for state
It's a big
and
space.
county
Yeah, no, I've
funding
been
for
definitely.
some of these things as well. You can get some sort of state or federal money for some of these, depending upon how they're structured. You can get some contributing money from the state to support some of these things.
we're always
So, do
looking
you
for
wanna,
grants.
do you wanna expand the recreation board so that people can add things about recreation and like cultural arts
Hmm.
ideas?
Anything recreational based.
Well, like funding for the arts or, something just to get that word in there, or
Whatever we could do to pretty it up to get some funding.
Mm-hmm.
it would bring business to the area as well, you know. Because there are like a lot of, the town, it's like a lot of missing teeth, so to speak. It's just sporadic, and,
You know, it's so unfortunate that that's
It's just-
historic here.
yeah,
It just, no matter what we do,
yeah.
One thing I've noticed is that the places that have a lot of people that come to it, aside from the concerts, is that they have something spectacular visual. And then when people drive through, they're like, oh, we gotta come back here.
So some will buy, so I know you've probably been in towns where if you go down to like Mendham area, down in Jersey, Warren County, Horse Country, some of the hamlets there they got those plastic horses or those
Oh,
big,
yeah.
and then they paint them, and they put them in front of businesses.
Goshen
or-
has that.
Goshen does that.
Goshen has that.
Yeah,
Because they got the
so,
horse track there.
so it's the
Sullivan
same
County also has doves.
because of Bethel.
Right,
Because of
exactly.
Woodstock, the original one.
Mhm.
Catskill has cats.
We have big
You're
flower
gonna have a-
pots,
I was gonna say what's Washington.
flower pots.
Grapes,
We decorate them seasonally.
grapes, the Brotherhood Winery.
Well, the winery, come on.
There you
But
go.
you're not seeing that when you're driving through the village.
No, it would be nice if they planted grapes when you're coming in.
Well, they started along Brotherhood Drive,
We took those out.
They're gone,
oh, they are gone?
Yeah,
Yep,
They were
all the,
mowing all around the parcel and now
they're all gone.
Hmm. I pass that every day, I didn't even notice they're gone.
But but you could do grapes, you could do
Yeah,
there's a lot of, you think about your
Think of-
history,
yeah.
you think about what you wanna be, but definitely sculptures, art, it just adds
Yeah,
interest.
you're right, I didn't, never
communities.
thought of that, that's a great idea. You guys need to brainstorm what type of visual, that's a great idea. Because I noticed that, I also work up in Goshen and I pass that when they do, they're all painted pastel colors, they line the street in
Well,
front of
but
all
why?
the businesses.
Because they have the
They
the
have
track
horses.
there.
Yes,
Because
they have the horse track,
That's
the
why
racetracks.
I brought up the
Right.
winery. That's our linchpin.
Yeah, but so much of the land around it's been developed,
Yeah.
so.
Giant wine
Is there a
bottles.
way to expand
That's what I was
that
thinking,
out
not
there?
putting wine bottles.
Winery.
So to use other parcels or to add linkages to that history?
Yeah.
I think there probably is. I mean, it may require kind of a separate little study at some point, but, you know, add it back in, add elements of what winery business, winery would
Or
involve.
something related to
Wine
our
barrels.
history.
The wine barrels.
Maybe
The painted
using
wine
those as,
barrels.
we're using big wine barrels as planters.
And then put wine in them,
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
The 1 year.
Put outdoor wine
Yeah.
barrels.
No, I
You
like
could,
it, yeah.
instead of having a watering trough, you have like the wine trough, you go.
You know,
Well,
one
instead of
year,
having it at the Brotherhood, you could have a big vat where people stop.
Yeah.
1 year Goshen also, had people donate pianos. Do you remember this? It's only a few years ago, right? They had people donate pianos and then, I can't remember who decorated them because people painted the pianos.
Yeah.
And they were out in all different places in Goshen and people could come and just sit down and play the piano and stuff. And that was a draw for a while.
Do you have a logo or like a tagline for the village?
We don't.
That's always fun too, to come up with a tagline. So you could say like, age
Well,
my fine
America's,
wine.
well, the
or-
winery does, you know, America's oldest winery.
Right. That's like a logo.
Village of America's oldest winery.
Well, so that's something to think about for a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, this would be something like, again, with the high school or with people, you could do a little prize, have a little something and say, come up with a tagline for the village. You know, Washingtonville. What do you wanna say about it? What do you want the tagline to be? Cause that's Nike, all these various businesses, they have taglines, they have logos. And it could be a little contest and have a prize. And then add that to the comp plan cover.
I love that. Is this something that we're gonna talk about, that will be brought up at the workshop? Or is this something separate?
Oh, I think this is just something we can implement if you wanna try it. Again, all these can be like little mini
That's a simple
surveys.
station, come up with a logo.
Yeah,
Here's, you know,
just again,
Leave
come up
little
with
index cards out.
$100, you know, at wherever. $100 Visa card. Come up with a tagline.
so like
Not
finish
very
the
grand.
Washingtonville, the blah, 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 blah.
They also have Moffett Library. So like, for instance, the Chamber of Commerce logo has Moffett Library, the, what do you call that?
Cupola?
I wanna say
The
steeple.
clock tower.
Yes, clock tower, thank you, yeah, as part of our logo. So, I mean, that's another landmark that we have,
I
the
don't-
Moffett Library.
I don't think you guys have an official, symbol for Washingtonville. You know how people have, I forget what the name is
Well-
called.
We use, I'll show you,
I know you have one that you've created,
yeah,
but some communities actually, like Montgomery,
Sorry, that.
they have a, I don't know what it's called, it's not a logo, but it's the official slogan. Like, it's like a crest, like a, and it's transportation. And so they have like rail, they have a truck on it, they have cars, they have, but, you know, that's their, whatever you call it. Monroe, I don't think Monroe has one, but it was Lakes, it's the
Yeah,
Lakes, so
the
they're the
Lakes.
Lakes community.
Yeah.
So that's their tagline, Lakes community, and other communities have. Shawano, if you go to their website, it's about the mountains, because they're the backdrop for Shawano Ridge. So, you know, you incorporate what is Washingtonville known for, what do you know it for, and then have a play on that.
Yeah,
For
very nice.
tagline.
Bonnie,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that you guys have been using, but
What is on there, Donna?
do they call it a crest or do they call it a?
Historic Village of, established 1731, incorporated 1895, Historic Village of Washingtonville with the grapes
Mhm.
and the bell with the clock.
Yeah,
Living Grove used to have a slogan, remember what it was? They had it on their trucks. Living Grove was the hub of Orange County,
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah.
that's what, I'm trying to think of what that's called, it's making me nuts. Well, see, so this
yeah,
is, so
clock
you
tower
have,
is there.
this is the police department, I don't know if maybe that was your, whether that used to be your logo?
Thinking seal.
Seal, thank you. The
You
official
win
seal.
tonight's prize.
$100 off the order.
Yeah.
Check's gonna be in the mail, we don't know when, but it'll be in the mail.
It's driving you nuts too, that it's driving you nuts.
It's like Thursday, my brain stops functioning. Yeah, so like, I just picked out Fishkill, and there's a town, there's a village, but it's the round, it's the seal, that they'll have like on the stationery, so it's the same concept,
And
but I
that
don't
is
know
what
if yours is official, it's one that's been
We've
created.
been using that, and that to us is our official, we use it on all of our stationery,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's nice.
So,
Well,
but
you
then
guys
they
all
put
know,
it,
you just
but-
got the
yeah,
resident
yes.
letter.
But
That's-
they all, but then you
It's on the
literally,
letter.
you put it on the trucks, you put it on the police badges, you put it on, you know, that's the
Yes.
seal of the state of New York, it's the
That's
same,
cool, yeah.
yeah.
And
So-
the intersection, 94 and 208,
It's this one here, right?
Welcome
Yep,
Square.
that one,
Yeah.
yes.
But then use the same kind of template, if you're gonna use this oval and the colors and the grapes, it can be used for other signage to provide linkages to know that you're entering gateways. I
You know
don't
what
know that you
that
really
is?
have gateways saying you're coming in and out of Washington.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
Yeah, we do.
At every entrance, we have the sign,
You do
and
have
that's
the big
what I was
sign?
There's a sign on Wood
saying that
Park.
we have.
But the big one, big,
Yeah, sign,
Okay.
yeah, they're
Right,
big.
it's on the corner.
okay.
Think
Sign
about it,
on
it's on the
94,
corner.
This one by Ahern.
yeah, at Ahern and 94.
It's now
One
down
by,
hill
down
as
Road.
they
Woodcock.
built
One at
up the
Woodcock.
road, 94.
But are they small or big?
They're
No,
big.
they're big.
Oh,
They've
gosh.
even got
Four?
stone bases,
4 or 5
big
feet
stone
wide.
bases.
Okay,
They're not huge, but they're,
You can't miss them, it's not like they're little tiny signs, they're obvious.
well, they're clearly.
Somebody
Well,
knows.
maybe they're not as obvious as we thought.
Well, it's funny because in Hurley, when you go up to Hurley, they'd be like, well, we have an entry sign. And when you realize it's on Route 28, with bazillions of other signs there, and it's about this big, they think it's big, no one ever sees it. No one ever knows that you're entering Hurley. They just happen to know it's there, but if you're someone coming from out of town, is it really noticeable? And I'm gonna after this drive.
The one at Ahern now is kind of down in a hole because
Yeah,
they
they
did a
raised
whole.
Ahern. But the one on 208 and the one on 94 are clear. There's
The
no-
one
yeah.
coming in from 208 from South
Coming
Living
from
Grove?
208 coming north.
Yeah.
You see it right at the corner of Woodcock Mountain Road.
Right by Jim's property,
At
actually.
Woodcock
Yeah,
down?
down
Oh
there.
my God,
His
I gotta look
property,
at
yeah.
that and
This
see
is the
why
light.
I'm not seeing
this is
it.
the light,
Yeah,
it's right
yeah.
here.
Okay.
And then the other one
Go on a Monday.
yeah, and then this is Ahern,
Yep,
and it's right here,
okay,
across from the front.
okay. And then what on the
There
other,
was this
what about
couple
on the other
houses
end?
got, they
Which
flooded
other
like
end?
twice as
Coming
much.
from
Yes.
94
Yes,
from
they
Jim's
did
Services.
before.
Oh,
Yeah,
Down
that's,
by,
There's one by,
By where they
Where's
talk
that?
about where the
What's that
pickleball
one?
field, there, there are a couple of houses
Patricia
off
Lane.
94.
so
Yeah,
like
it's funny.
coming
Yeah,
from
they
Jeff,
didn't flood
You hit the
before,
golf
and
course?
Yeah.
last two
and
rains,
then it's right there.
the, you know, Department
So
of
like,
Works was down
just
there
a
talking
pigeon
about.
But you
I
turn,
saw that, yeah.
One's got a
He's
trampoline
right
in the
there, I
back,
don't like where that's located.
you know, and this, it would
that's
just,
up
they,
a little bit higher.
It might
out of
need,
nowhere,
it needs
just-
bigger. Some
were, you know,
communities,
flooded out.
especially out in,
which I didn't,
speaking of
I've
ice
never seen that
sculptures,
there.
especially if you go to
Oh,
like Colorado,
I have.
their
You have?
entries
Because I
are
walked the
big
dog,
entries.
yeah, I have.
Yeah, I
People
just
miss
noticed in
forever.
the past two
It is all
And
times,
wet.
they're
Wetland, really.
metal sculptures. sculptures.
This place is
And it may have
loaded
like an
with
eagle,
them.
Yeah,
or
It's
it may
just
have,
loaded.
and they'll say the city of, or the town of, like Hunter Ridge, whatever it is. But it's beyond like a small, and then you know you're entering. You do like something with wine.
No, I was out in California last year, and they actually saw something that went like, it was like an arch, but it went over the road.
Yes,
And it was metal
Yes.
and
I've seen
you
those,
can't miss it.
yeah, exactly. It has to be obvious, you know, to make it interesting. Cause you can have a pretty gateway, but if it's not obvious, it's just, it's letting you know,
The
but,
question here is money. In Washingtonville,
well, there's money from the arts, there's
Yeah.
money. See, so you are a community that I think is well positioned to get New York Forward grants. A New York Forward grant, I forget how much it is, if it's 2 or 3 million. So the DRI grants, which are more for the cities, they're 10 million. The New York Forward, Cornwall got one. I wanna say they got like 3 million, but it's a lot. And you can do a lot with 3 million.
right,
And
Right.
so the other benefit of doing the plan beyond doing the zoning is you come up with these programs and these ideas, especially what we should be thinking about is what would you wanna see from an economic development perspective? Because the DRI, it's Downtown Revitalization Initiative. New York Forward is like the mini version of the DRI. And the state wants to fund activities that promote business development, but they'll also promote things like arts to the extent it helps attract businesses. It also supports housing to the extent that it supports businesses locating there because people need to live somewhere, employees need to live somewhere. So you are a very large bona fide village that, like Cornwall, there's no reason why you couldn't get monies. And it
right.
could be for upgrading the trail, it could be for creating
Yeah,
or
do we have to
purchasing
pay
these
for that
buildings.
trail coming through our town, our village?
I don't believe so.
It's usually the state funds it. I don't know
Somebody,
who
I
acquired the
know that
lands.
this, where I live,
County.
it's like right
County.
behind
County
my
get it?
house.
County, yeah, they just bought it, and
Yeah,
they
it's
got, I don't know
county.
how many millions
The
to.
county, right, cause they surveyed it right behind my house, and I'm like, this ought to be fun, to see how this turns out. No, it's 10 feet away from the back of my house,
Fence,
Your house, your property, the property line.
from my house. So 10 feet out is where it's gonna begin. So you got the house, 10 feet, right at Heritage Trail.
Must have been interesting when they were running
Pardon me?
trains.
so,
I say it must have been interesting when they were running full-size trains that close to your house.
Yeah, well,
Well, the house
I've
probably
been here
wasn't there
20
when it
years, I
was-
live in the mobile home park, so
Yeah,
it
it's,
probably wasn't there
You
when
know.
the
Yeah.
trains were running.
Are you in Washington?
Train stopped in.
I'm in Brookside, yeah, so the track's like right behind me. And, that's where they say it's going right there, it's gonna keep going all the way through the tracks,
Yeah, it's going all the way,
all the way
over
down to that,
Salisbury
to
Hills.
the, yeah, all the way down. I just didn't know who was actually funding it, or who was gonna maintain
County,
County.
it, you know, so.
It's like the Heritage Trail,
Yeah.
essentially.
It's attached
That's
to
what it is.
That's
It's
what
part
it is,
of it.
it's a continuance from Chester all the way, I remember they started building in Goshen,
It's like probably like a branch line.
you know, they're just gonna continue, the bicycles, they have some have benches.
If you go back
Yeah.
into old USGS maps, the United States Geological Survey maps, you'd be shocked at how many branch and railroad lines there are.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We've seen, like, we were looking at Montgomery, there's one that used to go all the way from Montgomery up toward, the
Kingston.
Rondout in Kingston,
Kingston.
exactly.
The Walkill Valley Railroad,
There you go.
which headquartered in Montgomery originally, actually in Gardner
Well,
originally.
are you talking about the rail trail one? Because
No,
there's
I'm
another
talking
one.
I'm talking about the railroad that ran from Montgomery to Kingston.
Okay.
Part of it's been made into a rail trail.
But there's a part of it that, there's another branch off of it that goes through Shawangunk, goes through areas, you're like, there was a rail trail here?
That was
And
the
you
railroad.
can see, especially there's the national mapper, I love maps, there's a national mapper, and it has this feature called hillshade. And it actually like really accentuates the landscape. and you can see the thin line
Where the railroad.
of where the railroad
Went through
line
New
was.
Falls, went through Rosendale.
So that's the one that they're
81.
doing a rail trail
That's a
for.
rail trail. The railroad is still operating as far as Walden.
Yes,
Stops in Walden.
Yep.
And from beyond Walden.
it
several
actually goes
sections-
beyond Walden.
No, it stops where they took the bridge out over Route 52. I'm a railroad guy.
Oh, okay. No, the only reason is because we just reviewed a warehouse and the line, whether it's active or not, there's a line that goes up to that warehouse. But we were doing battle with them, another story, I'll tell you another time. In terms of how they should situate the warehouse, they were making the argument that they want it in case they wanna put, a siding on,
Yeah, connection.
right? So,
There was a very low bridge on Route 52. The highway was interfering with the highway. So they took that bridge out. So that's why the active railroad ends in Walden.
okay. Well, so it's 8:00. Let's spend another 5 minutes with the committee, and then we can open it up to the public with any comments, questions they have. So, again, we're gearing up for this workshop. I think we have our stations. If there are any ideas, anything you can think of between now and, let's say, in another couple of weeks, we can implement it. We'll work with Donna to get the word out, because of course we want the most turnout possible.
Maybe we couldn't put flyers like the Chinese used to do, Chinese menus on your, you go in the store, you come out, your windshield wipers got a Chinese menu.
Well, you
I
can.
think when I was living in New York, I think they had to cut down trees in Oregon and were handing them out.
Or we can get it out on Facebook as well.
Yeah, we
We
do
can
it on
push it out with
Facebook.
the chamber stuff.
Yeah, so work with Donna.
Yeah, I mean, they
figure out
really
what
have to get it out there, you know.
Yeah,
I'm not on
post it.
social media, I can't, and,
Well, that's why in the library,
you know,
post it on window signs,
and,
wherever people
I
go.
mean, to me, to be honest with you, the phone is one of the, I've got a landline that I use, and I have a cell phone. But my landline gets all the messages about the flooding or about the meeting that was just canceled, going to next Wednesday, I believe. You know, it comes in on my line, and it goes in on my voicemail.
You know,
I know a lot of people don't have, but
So you're saying that's a good thing or a bad thing?
no, it's a good thing. In other words, that's how I find out about things, because I get that call. Because I don't necessarily sit on my computer and go to Washington Village, you know. And if you look at it, everything is, for instance, you know, we were supposed to have a meeting yesterday at the ARB, but it wasn't signed as being, you know, canceled. You know, it's not really, you know, updated where it should have been. But that's up to the, you know, the chairperson on the ARB, so that's his deal.
In addition to writing it up in the newspaper, in the online newspaper, I'm still getting about 4,400 to 5,000 views a month.
Nice.
okay, on Facebook or on your
Well, I
newspaper
share it.
site?
Whatever I put up,
Okay,
I share it to We the People and my own page,
okay,
and anybody that it's particularly interesting to, I share it to them too.
okay.
And I actually just started last week, I should have done it a long time ago, but an event calendar page.
Oh, okay,
So, at the end of stories, as long as it's not controversial, you know, it only goes to good news stuff.
yeah,
At the end, I put our business sponsors, and, I've been putting, calendar events.
okay.
And people have been going to it already, it's only been a couple days.
Good, so we should post on your site.
Yeah.
So with that, we always leave opportunity to, have comments from the audience. So is there anything anybody wants to bring up? Yes.
We started the meeting by mentioning the draft plan. Is that available on the website?
It's going to be drafted. It's gonna be drafted after we have the public workshop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we want the input of the public. It's not predetermined, it's not, we have various input from the mini public survey, we have input from the committee, but we really wanna get out to the public.
And then the other question is, what's the actual status on the moratorium? I believe the extension expired in December. Has there been
Donna,
action
he's got a
on
question about the
extension
moratorium.
on the moratorium?
We just received a second extension in December. That
Alright,
gives
so
us
now
now
it's
another
gonna
6 months
Okay.
Expire in June?
to June.
Thank you.
You're
Yep.
welcome.
Any other comments back there? Are you here from the high school? Yeah. Are you here for your government?
Yes.
What do you think of our ideas about reaching out to the high school kids then?
I think it's good.
Tell them what we talked, yeah.
Oh, we talked about the skate park where it used to be at Woodfield. I think you guys should put the skate park back. Because a lot of people in my grade really, they skate a lot and they used it a bunch. So,
At Woodfield.
at Woodfield.
And we can, I just spoke to Tom, we can do basketball over at the other half of, Ahern. The problem
Gather
though,
your
the
friends,
equipment is so
you know,
expensive.
voices more.
So,
If
so
somebody-
why there? Is it because there's just a lot of kids in that neighborhood or that area?
It's definitely near a lot of like the housing that's over there, and it's good to skate on, like especially since they repaved it and everything.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. Anything else you think the village needs?
maybe some more stores, some more like of a life for the younger kids.
Like what?
Maybe more like restaurants if possible, like maybe stuff for us to do, like I don't know if you guys can do any of this, like what would you say?
Well, I wish we had a Trader Joe's, but that's going pretty far, guys.
Trader Joe's, yes. We have to have a market for Trader Joe's.
No.
But you know what, but the point is, Trader Joe's has sort of health foods, has, you know, that kind of food. So you could still, be nice to have like a health food place here.
Yeah, or like a smoothie place in town. I know there used to be one
There was.
there, but it's gone now.
I know,
I
that
tried
was
to.
great. Make your own ice creams.
Yeah, it was there
I
like
think
the
we
cell
should
phone
also
numbers
have
ago.
also a computer, where people could sit and have coffee, whatever, and use Wi-Fi with
Like a
their
Starbucks
computers.
type.
Like a cafe.
You know, you get together in a luncheonette,
Okay.
luncheonette
Someone
type of
else was
thing.
good open up.
That would be,
Like
the
a
kids
location in
would,
Washington.
you know, I
Like a
think-
diner type of,
And it all goes back to no parking.
Like,
But I think it also goes to people, you have to have demand.
But they can, yeah, you have a point about, if it's like in a walkable area, I mean, even where Stop and Shop is, one of those places that are vacant.
So now, I
I mean,
haven't
yeah.
ever seen the parking that's over by the Bank of America,
Mhm.
that lot fully occupied. And maybe, but I haven't seen it fully occupied when I come through. So if it is, what time is that and who's using it?
I think
School hours,
it's like right
so-
after, not like shortly after school when the girls are doing
Dancing
their
school.
dance class,
Okay,
it's before dinner.
oh, interesting, so between
Yeah,
like
and
3
into
and
the night.
6?
Yeah.
Okay,
The dance school has classes all the way up till 9 o'clock at night.
so it's the dance school that's a big generator. But
And then
people
what
are
else,
parking there and then watching them, or the mom staying there, or the parents staying there?
Sometimes, and then you have the people that live right there that don't have parking at their apartments.
They park there?
Because it's municipal
Oh,
parking.
you mean that are in apartments in those buildings?
Right.
That are right there?
There's a sign, I think there's a sign,
You got
signs for
the
them.
laundromat
Yeah,
area,
yeah.
or then you have that other
Above, yeah,
bigger area, then you have the bank.
okay, okay.
So I
So,
always park in that large area, and I go to the computer store or across the street, but,
Park in the back for the hook and ladder,
Yeah.
the bar.
You know what the chamber has been talking about for a while, and talking with the county as well, to see if it would be viable to put, and don't shoot the messenger here, to put parking, some type of parking structure that would be allowable because of the flood situation there, where it wouldn't be obvious from 94 from the street, because the buildings would be shielding it, where you'd increase the parking.
yeah.
Because we're forever looking to find a way to increase that parking.
Now, is the parking so utilized in the Hennessy's lot, or does that tend to be open? Because sometimes about where
I think
it
it's
is.
Because it's, to get to it and out of it, in and out of it, that area of 208 is very full of traffic. So, it's not as convenient as it looks. You know what
No,
I'm
it's
saying?
kinda like, what time is it?
Yeah,
Because
right.
I'm not going
If
there
it's
now.
after 3:30, I'm not going over there, yeah.
Okay,
Because the 208 traffic is,
backs up.
backs up, and you have to have a very nice relationship with the car that's trying to,
It's almost like you need to block the box, don't
Yes.
block the box
Yes,
there to
yes.
come out.
yes.
We talked, that was discussed at one of the village board meetings, actually not there, but going into
The town.
the
Yeah.
bubble,
Yeah, the
into
bubble,
the,
right.
the
box.
laundromat, because
Mhm.
that's always blocked.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
So now when
part,
that's blocked and people wanna bring their girls in and they're coming from the 94, now it stops, if they can't make that left from town to
Mhm.
turn in, now that traffic backs up
Yeah.
to the 94.
Yeah.
I think
So,
one of the things that happens at that intersection, unlike a traditional downtown, you would have on-street parking along all the roads. But because you coming up 208 and getting to the light, there's no parking there, because you're accommodating all the lanes.
Mhm.
So you've taken away curb area where you might have put some more on-street parking,
Right.
just for capacity.
Right, right.
And that's the case of all the kind of entries coming in except for Little Plaza. So that's why I was asking about Hennessy's, because if that's underutilized, it would be nice to have shared parking there. So the question is then, how do you create the spaces, like you need
For
the,
cars to
don't
use that, yeah.
block the box, so for people to get out there. So, and then I think then we have to look at other locations of where you could accommodate some municipal parking. Near it has to be by the center of town.
Mhm.
And
That's
some,
why the structure, that's why.
That's what, yeah,
and sometimes it's just a matter of, you have to cobble together, there's so many smaller little lots and individual parcels. And this business has their parking, this business has their parking, this business has their parking, but it's not a municipal lot that's been laid out in a very comprehensive, cohesive way. Even with, if you look of Bank of America, and then the next bank,
Yeah,
right? That whole lot should be designed as one, but it's private properties. But the actual layout would be more efficient, and you could probably get more parking spaces if you didn't have aisles and separation and some other thing that's going on, because they're individual properties.
It's the same with the larger parking and the Bank of New York.
Yeah. So somehow I think that should get into the plan, is about cohesive parking. Never mind getting more parking, but just even redesigning might be useful to get, even if you get 20 spaces out of it, that's a lot.
yes, that's a lot. And it'll be interesting too, Bank of America's going out, so
Right.
what's going to happen in that location? Do we know?
I'm sorry.
Bank of
Bank of
America
America is moving
is
out,
leaving, who's going there?
I don't think we know at this point.
Police station?
I think they vacated
The
the
poor
other
police
corner
station.
spot, didn't they, where that recruiting office or whatever that was there, where Chase Bank used to be.
Well, they're gone now.
That's bus tran, that's
They-
bus
they're
tran-
gone.
It says for rent in the window.
Yes, and that sign is coming down. They are gone. Orange County Transit is no longer in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gone, yeah, they're
Over
gone.
on Crystal Run Road.
So do we
now,
know who's
that's plant
purchased?
was.
It's for
Oh,
rent,
okay.
up for rent.
Oh, it's up for rent?
I drove past that going to the doctor's office, and I just looking at all the buses that they had lined up,
Where the
and
train
all
tracks
the
are.
cars from people, the drivers, and
Yeah.
like, it's a good thing they weren't here.
Were they even
Please.
allowed? As
Well,
a
they were
use?
trying.
Okay. It doesn't seem like something that might have been
Just
allowed.
No, but I think it was more, that area that they found is more appropriate. They're in and out, there's really not a lot of houses there, so
Okay.
they can come and go as they please.
Yeah.
Just,
They probably knew it was a problem for themselves too. That's crazy to be in the corner.
You know,
Anything else, people?
I mean, just one last thought that I had as
Sure.
I'm looking at these visuals. I think it's really important for us to, since we're talking about the signage, you know, identifying us as you come into the village and so forth, I think it's really important for us to pay attention to what our vision is for those entries to the village. We know there's a big parcel that we keep talking about. Well, we do, right? It is what it
Do you mind if I
is.
let
man.
you say, why don't you
We've
buy it?
discussed it. How many,
Can
what
I
is
ask you
4
a
million?
question?
A little higher.
6 million?
His name is that.
What, all
can I
chipped
ask you a
in,
question?
pay lottery.
And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. What would you like to see on that
We
property
discussed
that you
this.
own?
Yeah, that's,
I'm selling it, you know, it's not a question of what I wanna see. If I
So you don't
wanted
have
to
any-
develop something, I
You
would
just wanna,
develop it.
you wanna sell the property, right?
We've
Would you
only-
envision anything there that you might feel might be beneficial to Washington
Well, it was a
Village?
wonderful dairy farm, but the area has outgrown dairy
Right.
farms.
Right.
what's your sale price?
6.5,
Negotiable?
a little bit.
All depends on the deal, right?
We all play the lottery.
But I think that's an important piece for us to pay attention to, that's that, we keep talking about the biggest piece of property
Yeah.
that can be developed, and it's right at our doorstep. So do you want us, cause you,
Can I
as you mentioned, you know, a business park,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Have you ever done the calculation of how much it would cost to get a bond to purchase it as a village?
you know, I have to go back through notes. I did reach out to the county at one point, and they said that wasn't the type of thing that they could help with.
But let's say no help, no nothing,
Oh.
because Monroe just went through a $14.5 million purchase. So, and they're usually, I think they're bonded for 30 years, whatever the prevailing interest rate is, but I think it's usually lower for a government bond. 30 years to have a bond, to purchase it, not saying it's open space or anything, just to purchase it, $6.5 million. Do you know what the cost would be annually? Cause then I'd be curious to be, if you then, you know,
Here's the
figure out
problem
what the
though.
taxes are.
You know our
what you
financial
add.
situation right now?
Yeah, no, but I just wanna
Um,
know dollar
we-
amount, where
yeah,
we
I
would
don't-
be on a per
I don't know.
$1,000 basis.
And I don't know how to, right now, like, we have this budget hearing coming up on Wednesday
Yeah,
where we have to increase, you know, it is what it is. We have to do what we have to do, to kind of make up for the losses over the last several years, so,
no, understood.
yeah.
You know what, actually, we tried to put here, and I think it would have been advantageous. Kay Honanian
Yep.
had a plan to put 148 age-restricted senior market value properties. So it would have been a big tax boost for the community with zero school impact, would be no kids. And it was condominium structure, so there's no road maintenance or anything like that. And Hovnanian did a lot of work to try to get that approved, and they were kind of chased away by the village.
How many units
148.
and how long ago was this?
They pulled out in 2008. They
Oh, so
worked
that's a
on it,
while ago.
yeah, they worked on it for 4 or 5 years.
and weren't there some shops built into that too, Jim?
Nope, it was
No? I
all
thought there
house.
were shops too.
It was all house.
Before we became the administration that we were as a resident being on this committee,
Right.
remember one of the meetings, I had presented some vision for that property? Do you remember it? You said I asked you what you thought, you said you actually liked it, and there was something similar that,
Yeah,
The whole-
Hovnanian had a really nice
It was
plan.
similar
I
to-
picked out a unit, I was good about it.
it was I think I have it here. Actually, you should have it also. I
No,
gave
we
it-
have it.
Yeah,
We
it
have
was
it.
similar to that. It was actually take what he just discussed about those units for seniors, add some mom and pop shops in there, add maybe a bank, things that are walkable for seniors. And then I had, part of my vision was lit pathways throughout that entire community that also led into downtown for walkability.
Yeah, the property borders what's going to be the rail trail, so people could walk
Yep,
right onto Depot Street and right into the middle of the village.
Well, and so
That's
that
why
would
with
Maybe
make,
lit
like the site.
paths, with maybe exercise stations along the way, you know, a coffee shop,
Oh.
like a
Warwick Road?
community within a community, and it be walkable.
So you were just talking about Warwick Road, because Warwick Road
Yes,
similar.
yes.
is neo-traditional,
Oh,
and it has the mix,
yep,
high-end, but it's 55 and over too, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure.
Yes,
And
They
it has a
have
little
their own-
retail store,
yep,
and then they
got a
gave
library.
some land.
Library,
that land
post
They
office.
gave to the library.
Mhm.
That was the quid pro quo for putting the zoning in.
a community
I worked
within
on
a
a
community. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And that has the lighted paths, the lighted walking paths and things like that.
Yes,
It is
lit
very beautiful. Now,
pathways
that would
with
be
beautiful
a lovely
lit-
entrance into,
Yeah, that's right.
into the village.
And that is the first thing that you see when you enter the village.
I think the question is, are there any developers that will wanna build now and here?
Right this minute, right, well, first of all, nobody's coming in until this is all done. That would, to me, we would need like a
No, but-
mixed-use zone,
But that doesn't mean you can't speak to
My
developers.
broker
neighborhood
gets
business.
an average of 2 inquiries a week, and as
From?
soon, from potential buyers.
But which
And-
kind of potential
I
buyers?
don't know, my broker's telling me that he's getting constant calls,
Yeah,
but as soon as they're told there's a moratorium, here's the current zoning, but we don't know what the future zoning would be, they walk away.
well, yeah,
So
of course.
until something gets
But
done,
I wanna know whether you had inquiries even recently for like a Lennar or a Hovnanian or, a Pulte, or, those are the big national builders.
yeah, I know. No, I don't know. My broker's just, you know, because we just renewed the listing,
Mhm.
and he said he still gets a lot of activity. People request information on the property, but then when they find out that there's a moratorium, they say, well,
Right,
we'll
but,
be back when the moratorium.
Right.
but there's no reason why, because this has happened in other communities, that you can talk to some of the developers and the builders and even if there's a moratorium, say, what is the marketability, what is the likelihood that a company like yours would wanna come build here?
The thing is, I would think, I don't know, you would know better, right? I'm guessing there's, not knowing what it could be rezoned for,
Yeah, I mean.
they're not,
if
how do you get a serious
Or,
buyer?
or
Well,
the
Well, they
number
would
of
tell
units.
you,
they've gotta have an idea of
They're
what
gonna
they
tell
want,
you.
because
They're-
they're looking
Well,
at the
they would
property.
know
gonna-
what they
well,
want, but the
they're-
thing is they don't know what we want.
no, so you can say 6.5 million, but a King of Nanian or Lennar may say, for us to go up there, for that to be marketable, you know, we'd have to have, if we're gonna have to pay that price tag, 200 condos. You know, I'll tell you right now, the market is mostly rentals, multifamily. Everything they're building up in Poughkeepsie area, rental multifamily.
That's what the governor wants too, you know, her new budget is
Yeah.
emphasizing that
Rentals,
she wants to
multifamily.
put a quota on every municipality.
Yes,
Look,
You-
we have
you
a
have-
And that got
mile-long
shot
wait
down
list
big
for the
time.
Last
senior
year it
housing.
got shot down, she's got a new one this year.
and I'm sure that'll be shot down too, because anything that stifles home rule law in the state of New York gets shot down.
She
should
did
be,
it through the back door, so she's giving, big exemptions and breaks to the communities that
It meets
do
her
it.
quota.
Right, so it's in the end, if that's happening, because I think they put that in the New York Forward program. So you'll get more
Mhm.
points for New York
Yeah,
Forward
right.
grants
If
if you
develop.
build the housing. So they're, instead of using the stick approach, they're using the carrot approach
Mhm.
now.
Have you ever?
Our
But it's
wait
not-
list
but
for
it's
the
not a
seniors
mandate.
is a very long list, wait.
Yeah,
So, and they have the least impact, so that was
Yeah.
something that I think is very realistic for
So-
there.
So I think the governor wanted something along the lines of what they do in Jersey, which is they have the Council on Affordable Housing, they had the state mandate to do affordable housing in each municipality. You had to calculate what your fair share is of providing affordable housing, and then to make it happen, they had to give developers density bonuses, which meant they got even more housing and higher densities to build affordable housing. So that's how in Mawa, because of lawsuits, you ended up with all the big multifamily developments, most of them Canadian, down in the Mawa. And that's true of most of the communities down there.
Have you
So,
ever spoken to, the Feeney family? You know, he did a lot of housing in Goshen, he did that Meadow Hill at the entrance to, Chester.
Only
Is
one
that
of the,
Feeney?
only one of the Feenies are still building.
Yeah, that was gonna be my
there's
question.
I don't think
they're
that was
doing it
Feeney.
anymore.
that Chester one,
Oh, really?
the one that's coming, when you're coming from here to go to Chester,
Yeah,
that's not Feeney.
Yeah, that's not Feeny.
That's a different person
I
who's
just
from
said
Shawano,
they're an
yeah.
awesome family and I really always liked his taste in what he was building.
Yeah, that was actually a different developer. I worked on the environmental impact statement for that a long time ago. I thought it was Sorrentino, at Chester. And then it got bought out by this other developer who's done work up in Walden, bless you.
Bless you.
and
Thank
some
you.
other places, cause he was in Shawano for proposal to do rental multifamily. Everybody wants rental multifamily right now, that's the market.
Well, and what will come back with all this, the housing talk from the governor this year will be good cause eviction. Nothing will pass without good cause eviction. That they killed last year, along with the housing stuff, but it will be back.
Well, and I think you're planning for the future, you're planning for the long term. Market's about the market right now. So there was a market for single family and everybody overbuilt single family. And then the pendulum swings and then you get to multifamily rentals, multifamily pendulum swings and something else comes in. You have to decide what's appropriate for the village. And it might be a combination of housing. Maybe you don't want any housing there. Maybe you want non-residential. But somehow, collectively, we need to figure out what is appropriate for the village of Washingtonville. Taking into consideration what's marketable, because you can't zone it for something that's never gonna be marketable either. So. And stakeholders are welcome to offer ideas. All right, that's a wrap. So I will see everybody next month. We'll be working with Donna to get the word out for the workshop, get the materials together.
You all are planning those stations, right? There's nothing that you need regarding
No,
that?
we'll put them together. We want the committee members to participate.
Chris said, do you want us to sit with you at a table as well? or-
I think it's up, I think it's up to you if you want to participate, or if you feel like you've had enough input and, you know, or you can help out with stations, but then when there's a little lull, you can always go and participate at a station too. But if you want to, you know, be involved in being at and present at a station, explaining what it's about, we would welcome that. Yeah,
Do you have name badges or anything
you will have
to
name badges.
signify who you are?
We bring all that with us.
Okay.
It's part of our roadshow, our workshop roadshow. So we have the badges, we have all the paperwork, we have instructions, sign-in sheets, you know, labeling the workstations for wayfinding, the whole thing.
So you're
What do you
taking
think
care
we
of that?
should
Do you
do
have
now?
tripods for displays
All
or?
the tripods, all the boards. Only thing that'd be useful is refreshments.
I just spoke, that was Patrick from Guilty Pleasures, so
Okay.
I just talked to him. That's how we roll.
That's so funny.
He said, fine.
And if you wanna do like a little prize to be
Yeah.
able to advertise it,
Okay,
okay?
I'll take care
So
of that.
we could talk about that, because we're gonna have to put the flyers together. So when we do that, we wanna say refreshments, we wanna say door prize.
Well, flyers, where are these flyers going and how are they getting out?
We'll be communicating with the committee, but first we need to okay the flyer. So just like the last time, I'll work with you and work with the group to see if the
Right.
flyer's okay.
Yeah, just design it,
Yeah,
run it past me,
right.
and then, the problem was I just remember printing issues, I don't remember what exactly, oh, those were the postcards? The
Those
flyers
are
were
the
easy, the
postcards.
postcards, yeah, okay.
That was because they were getting inserted into every
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mailing and we had to
Yeah.
send it to a printer.
No, we're not mailing them, right?
No,
Okay.
no. But if we're
But we
but-
can maybe get them over to the high school.
we need to get flyers, but Facebook and the village website
Yeah.
and
Oh, well,
et cetera.
I take care of that,
Yeah,
that's me.
Facebook and the ED offered to have an article or to have
Yep.
an announcement. And then anybody else, any other sites that we think would be appropriate.
I'll leave them here
Uh-huh,
during our meetings. We'll
Yeah.
leave some out on the counter.
Yep.
The library is usually very cooperative.
Put them in Brother Bruno's, put them in T&M Deli, where everybody goes all the time.
Do you guys have people that can reach out to, not everybody lets us do
I go
that.
to T&M Deli all the time.
Every day, right?
Yeah, so it can't hurt to take, it's just paper,
yeah,
it's
they just
not,
put it in the window.
Yeah,
We're not
they're
getting-
acceptable to flyers.
Anything.
we
Yeah.
can print here too. We don't need to pay a printer. We
Mhm.
can print them.
Okay. Color printer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now, even the Chinese place, you could just put them there,
yeah. Some let you,
agreeable.
some don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
what was that?
some let you, some don't,
They
depends.
will.
Okay.
What's happening?
I had asked her,
What's happening with the gas station canopy and the gas station and,
They started.
oh,
Yeah,
good.
I saw
They,
that today.
they
Yeah.
surrendered to every piece.
Surrendered.
Well, think about it. Sunoco has their logo and their corporate colors. They're very bright neon, red, yellow, and blue. We sat down here at this table and I explained that we now have a historical color palette, and they said, okay. And she brought a display of what their corporate colors are, and I had sent her ours, and then she did one of ours, and she said, well, what do you think, which one's closer to this? And they chose everything off of ours. They've already removed all of their logo from the pumps. It's gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
A solid
they
color
redone
only.
the pumps, they painted around the canopy, but
Yep,
is the building department following up on what they're
Yep.
doing?
well, I am.
Because they stated the other day that they were not going to paint the light poles, which we agreed upon. I was the one that brought
No,
that
the
up.
posts, the
light-
posts,
The perimeter light posts,
yes.
they're all rusted. And the guy that was here said, we'll paint them.
Yeah,
But they painted the.
right, but Stephen, they can't within certain temperatures, so they got that done before
I
the,
appreciate what you're
yeah.
telling me, I'm just asking you if someone's following up on what they're doing.
Well, I'm overseeing that.
Okay, because it's just, I just wanted to bring it up. The guy said, no, the other day, said, no, I don't think, no, we're not gonna do the poles.
That's-
Yeah, they're
that's kind of-
redoing the A+ sign. with our colors. They're taking everything off
Well,
the
this is the
canopy.
owner, I'm
It's gonna be
sorry.
just solid, using one of our historical colors. And they're allowed ones, back to what the code is.
Yeah.
One
Well, they painted
sign,
the pole on the
per
lit sign,
building.
but
That's-
they didn't take any of the signage off.
This
they
is
took all the
almost
signage off the pumps.
The pumps, but not the sign.
This was the
But they
conversation that,
painted the sign in navy gray.
Well, but they didn't redo the sign yet.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no, that's still a work in progress.
but this was something that evolved out of having a meeting with the ARB and the comp plan committee together, if I recall. And it's gone forward from there. And we had that meeting here,
They had that meeting and then
and then you continued to
they sent
meet.
somebody from corporate.
Yeah,
I sat down here with her.
right,
That's when we went over all the
Yeah.
colors, and I didn't know what to expect, because this was the first run for me with this, and, with the Laura's Deli and the dental, the ARB, they complied.
yeah.
I guess it's a normal thing to do. It just seemed, I didn't know how it was gonna work with such a large, company as Sunoco,
Right,
when they had their corporate colors, but I went back and looked at some of those original photos you
Mhm.
sent me from Connecticut,
mhm,
and they do it,
yeah, of course they do,
and it's stunning.
and Sunoco.
And it's still Sunoco. You know what?
You
there's
can't
no
argue when it
competition.
already exists,
And there's no competition.
no.
I mean, we compared it to Stewart's. Stewart's didn't have that, the
Well, you had
internal illumination
Yeah,
is
that
done.
was the beauty, that you had something to compare it to.
Right.
You know that they're considering moving out of the village, do you?
Who?
Stewart's?
Oh, really?
Did they give a reason? I didn't know.
Because the location is so very
a
difficult
tough
to get
spot.
in and out
Right.
and all that stuff.
It is. The parking is not good there. They get a lot of business, but the parking's awful.
Oh, but they're gonna stay,
Not in the village,
but in the town?
in the town,
That would be
yes.
a great place for you kids.
Salisbury.
We go there all the
time.
That's where
That
Cumberland
would
is,
be
that's why.
awesome.
Yeah,
What?
not as far as Cumberland.
Stewart's.
To do what?
time.
Yeah.
Public hearing is next.
So is there an opportunity to do something that would keep them there? What do they need?
I don't know, and, I don't know if they would stay there because it's so underperforming and difficult. They're looking at another location, and the public hearing is next week.
Maybe Sunoco's gonna buy it.
But, I don't know.
I mean, Sunoco has 3 parcels there already.
Mhm.
3 parcels.
The car wash.
They have the
It's
car
unfortunate
wash that's
because they're
not
not-
being used right
Because-
now.
Because
No,
with
they're not warm and
competition,
fuzzy.
they would want to have that, they wouldn't want another gas station to come in. The
Right.
only thing I'd be concerned about, which sometimes happens with gas stations, it becomes an automotive repair location, because you have
Well-
the pads and you have the garage and,
Mhm.
You guys are,
oh, yeah, no, I know.
you're up, you got
We
it.
have to address that. But, I mean, Sunoco could purchase it too. So there's a Sunoco, I think, that's going in over by Hewsonville in Dutchess. It's unfortunate, we weren't supportive of it because they were knocking down like 5 historic homes. But, and they're putting a very large Sunoco in. But the building itself, they're putting in a building that is supposed to be historic in character, which it is. And they're putting apartments in, and they're putting in a couple stores along with, you know, the regular part of the store for the Sunoco. So it wasn't just a gas station, but still was pretty devastating. But that's, I was curious why maybe they wanted to stay and they couldn't get land and.
I don't know, all I know is that, you know, because the location is so difficult, and it is underperforming, that they're moving on down the road.
Okay.
And I think if they can get what they, you know, the variances or whatever they need as far as zoning is concerned, then they're looking at buying a large parcel,
Okay,
a couple of large parcels.
well, that's an opportunity to be developed for something else.
I mean, it is difficult to get in and out, but the parking lot's always full, so their lack
Right.
of parking.
Across the
is the
street,
issue.
People
the
park in
old post
Sunoco,
office-
walk- I park in Sunoco.
there was an old post
Sometimes
office
I walk
across
over
the
just
street
do it, yeah.
that is dead space now.
What is?
And we need to talk about that as well, you know, what might be able to go in there. I mean, there was some buzz about maybe parking over there.
in-
do you know
in
where-
where, Donna?
Where the old post office used to be
Yeah.
right across the street from Sunoco.
Mhm.
It was being rented for a while. I don't even know if it's rented anymore.
I don't know, it was vacant for
It's
a
been
long
vacant.
time.
And so that could be an opportunity.
Well, and at some point, the
We need
ambulance corps
parking.
will be moving to its new location, not too long down the road either, I don't, and they own their building, I don't know what they're, I'm guessing they're gonna sell their building, but, you know, we're not there yet.
Have some ideas. All right, well, thank you all. We'll be gearing up for the workshop. Again, if you think of anything, we'll show you the revised and the additional stations to send those around. And just be prepared to
What should we be doing as a committee right now, individually, say at home?
I would say,
What's the main focus for us that you think might be a priority?
I think you should be looking at the zoning on-site, on the web, on general code. I would look at the zoning, and if you need a copy, then let us know, we can always print out copies. But I would look at the uses and where they're allowed per zoning.
I think it's on our Washingtonville website, if I'm not mistaken.
Like
Is
you
it
were showing
actually-
us at the last meeting, right,
Yeah.
Bonnie?
Yeah.
But if you're gonna offer to print a copy, I would love it, because then it's easier to look at and make notes on.
The E-codes, if you just Google Village of Washingtonville E-codes, you pull up all of our zoning codes.
Yeah, because I've got the
Right, but if she
zoning
wants us to look at them
chapters,
Yeah,
you know what I
and
mean?
really make,
This
I've got the AR,
I mean, it's probably how many
review
pages?
and all that.
double-sided, maybe 70 or so.
Can't use my.
Yeah, that's for
number
whoever
that.
didn't show up.
Make the book,
Yeah.
I'll bring it right back.
the zoning code, except book.
The meeting is the
There used to be, you probably can't get.
The third
That's
Thursday.
the zoning code for what?
Just
Oh,
close
But
this
that's
way.
okay.
I didn't know,
That's
no,
okay.
I would really like to be here,
Yeah.
but I didn't know our meetings were gonna continue.
Continue on, I know.
Bonnie, are we
So I have to
closing?
teach that night and I
Yes,
can't.
we're adjourned.
Okay,
Is it the
thank you.
18th?